How's it going, everybody? It's Kenneth Fox. Today is my channel where I talk about anime, video games, cartoons, most notably Sonic and Ninja Turtles. And today, I'm here to talk about your boy, Donatello, if you read this out of the video. So, in case you didn't already know, Donatello is actually my favorite Ninja Turtle of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, pretty much. So, today is going to be a little bit one of those little respect videos. I kind of did one of Leonardo. I did one of Raphael. I might do one for Michelangelo. Screw it, why not? I'll do one from Michelangelo in the future and stuff, you know. So, anyways, I'm going to talk about Donatello. I'm going to talk about some of the bad stuff first, like how he's been written lately, because I haven't really been too impressed with that. And then I'm going to talk about the good, you know. I like to work my way up with that kind of stuff. So, let's get into it. Alright, so here's my criticism of the character lately. So, in the IDW comics under Sophie Campbell, it's no secret that I don't like Sophie Campbell and her writing. And I think she's kind of bastardized Casey Jones, Raph, Alopex, Mona Lisa, Strider, Jenica as a mutant, Venus, Toka, Razar, Old Hob, and I would even argue Donatello himself. And in my opinion, she kind of just underutilizes Donnie's intelligence and competence as a character, where instead of focusing on a cure for like the mutants and stuff of Mutant Town, that would probably be my solution of how I would utilize Donatello. But this isn't about me. He just works on a sci-fi novel and goes to rock concerts. Yep, that's the alternative what we got here in the comics, mind you. His character is poorly deconstructed, where he's paranoid, depressed, too attached to people he just met. Latest example is Donatello's forced relationship with Venus. Prior to the Armageddon games, Venus and Donnie were captured by a mad scientist, and Venus, with psychic powers, out of nowhere had like a spiritual connection with Donatello. Ever since, Donatello has been over the top concerned about her, even though she just left on her own free will to go to Bludgeon, and he's only met her briefly. So he doesn't know her that well, and on top of that, the fact that she's like friends with the punk frogs who assaulted and attempted to murder his own friends, committed arson and gangbang. Yeah. Anyways, another example is that with Siri during the Armageddon games, where he's left behind in New York to monitor over the city, but he has to deal with a side plot where Terrell is like sending goons after the Triceraton princess. I'm not against Donatello being a hero and showing a level of compassion for someone else. However, he becomes too clingy, in my opinion, too dependent on others, and just incompetent. But this might just be me, and I'm just not feeling this direction, especially when Sophie Campbell always tries to spoil an event by showing an unnecessary premonition of the heroes becoming brutal and evil in the future for like no reason. The only positive thing I could say that the relationship between Donatello and Mona Lisa is actually pretty good, even though I wish they could actually like write the characters better, but that's just me. It's also no secret that Rise of the TMNT is, if not the worst TMNT cartoon ever produced, in my opinion and stuff, just given how they kind of misrepresent the characters, which would definitely include Donatello. I actually find Donatello to be my least favorite character in this entire show. Definitely my least favorite turtle, hands down. I know a lot of other fans like that are fans of the show actually do like Donatello and his jokes and stuff and the quirkiness, but it just doesn't work for me. I find him to be kind of like unfunny and obnoxious, rattling off jokes at the most inconvenient of times and just doing a poor man's Rick. That's just how I see him, to bottom line it. Alright, so now that I've gotten some of the bad out of the way, let me start talking about some of the good. So, why do I think Donatello is the best Ninja Turtle? Alright, so let me tell you a little story. So, when I was younger, and I grew up with TMNT, Leonardo was my favorite Ninja Turtle, hands down, followed up with Michelangelo. But after reading the comics and learning more of the lore by the time I was like a teenager, Donatello had kind of just he just grew on me and stuff, and he just became my favorite. So, outside of him being the brains of the bunch, he's also the most reliable and the most essential member of the team. I think that all four turtles contribute a lot to the team, and they're the most efficient when they're together. But when it comes down to like prep and alien invasion and machines and weapons, etc., Donatello's the guy. Donatello, he's nerdy, and I like Michelangelo. He has like his own little world going on, since not too many people can like really keep up with him academically. Donatello is intelligent, he's creative, resourceful, logical, and sometimes he can be awkward and overthink things. But I think his strongest character trait is actually that he's dependable to his friends and his family. In the 2003 series, there was a mini arc where Donatello was turned into a monster and his family had no idea how they could like help him and stuff, basically, since he's always the one that solves these kind of problems. Pretty much, that just shows you like how important he is. But anyways, Donatello, he's pretty much had a pretty much functional relationship when it comes down to his brothers and stuff, as far as brothers go. Donnie and Mikey, they're pretty close as well. They're often paired up together, both being the youngest members of the team. They both think differently, Donnie being someone who is analytic and Mikey being a free spirit, but they're both the most creative. Donatello is creative through his engineering skills, and Mikey due to his art and his writing talents. Leo and Donnie get along well enough and often team up in pairs. Second to the contrary, they get into arguments sometimes or over like the best course of action and ideology sometimes. They're both the more logical and level-headed members of the team, relying on tactics, strategy to outwit their enemies. Leo also turns to Donnie when it comes to like, you know, in order to brief them or on something, or just so he can turn something to their advantage. And Raph and Donnie also get along pretty fine as brothers. Raph sometimes gets bored or annoyed with Donnie's inventions or his techno babble, but he will give him credit where credit's deserved when he invents something that can like come through for everyone. And he does actually praise his intelligence sometimes, likely due to both of them being the creator's favorite turtles, or how Raph was intended to be the smart one. Donnie's a bit more patient and calculating, and Raph's more straightforward and rowdy. Donatello's relationship with Master Splinter, of course, is that he's his surrogate dad, where even though Donnie's like smarter when it comes to like machines, Splinter is more wiser and philosophical. Sorry. Master Splinter is usually impressed with Donatello's inventions, but tends to question its worth sometimes. Sometimes his inventions can cause more harm than good, but he is proud of having a revolutionary like his work can be. And Donnie has always respected Master Splinter's authority and has never tried to like act like he was better than him or try to throw his weight around because of his intelligence. Donnie is, in some versions, has been motivated to create a cure for Splinter so he can relive his normal life as Hamato Yoshi, which goes to show how much he does care and think about Splinter. But Splinter usually turns this down since he's already satisfied living amongst his sons. And Casey and Donnie have a pretty good friendship as well. Both tend to give each other a hard time sometimes, calling each other names, but they have an interest in in mechanics and cars and stuff, as well as Raph. In the 2012 series, they both kind of butt heads a lot more, usually over their feelings for April, but they could put their rivalry aside and focus on saving the day. And finally, April. April is Donatello's best friend, and as you already know from the 2012 series, his crush. They bond over their mutual interest in science. April is like an older sister and not very easy to talk to amongst the turtles. She talks mostly to Donatello out of them all about personal stuff, concerns, or Donatello's inventions, because she's probably the one that's the most interested in that type of stuff. Even outside of the 2012 series, Donnie does find April to be attractive, but his feelings for her is mostly like platonic though. Outside of April, Donatello has the least amount of love interest among his brothers. The first is Jana, who appeared in the Mirage in the 2003 series. She's a warrior queen who came to Earth injured, but Donatello nursed her back to health, and together they took down her enemies. The romance between them is a may or may not. It's kind of more implied, but I actually kind of think that Donatello had somewhat of an interest in her when they first met. And then she just went back home, and she just hasn't been featured ever since. But yeah. And then Donatello's second love interest is Mona Lisa from the IDW comics because of their mutual interest in science. So that's it's more so also just a crush as well between each other or whatever. They both have like a little small feelings and stuff. There's nothing too crazy or too wild just yet, but I would say this is actually one of the few ideas that I actually think this is actually kind of done right a little bit by Sophie Campbell. But yeah. Alright, so I'm going to talk real quick about some of my favorite Donatello voice actors and stuff, like who do I think has the best voice and whatnot. So starting off the bat, I gotta say Sam Riegel. If I'm saying, I might mispronounce some of these names, but Sam Riegel, I gotta say he's probably to me the best Donatello voice actor. He's the voice of Donatello from the 2003 series and stuff. I'm sorry, since I grew up with that version and whatnot for the most part, or since this is like the first version I was introduced to, I'm kind of used to hearing his voice. Like when I like visualize Donatello, like when I'm reading comics and stuff. So basically, yeah, his voice comes to mind. So therefore, I gotta say he's, to me, probably the best Donatello voice actor. Then I got followed up is Barry Gordon from the 1987 series of Ninja Turtles. I actually think his voice of Donatello, he voiced Donatello and Bebop actually in the beginning seasons of Ninja Turtles, and then eventually he got replaced by a different voice actor. I think his name was Greg Berg. So yeah, but he also voiced Donatello and Bebop in his place. So yeah, but I gotta say, to me, Barry Gordon's voice is also, like, to me, the second best Donatello. 1987 Donatello is one of my favorite versions of Donatello as a character and stuff. But yeah, and I definitely love his voice and stuff. He's really, you know, like, yeah, I really like that. And then coming in third place, I have Corey Feldman from the 1990 movie in the Turtles in Time and stuff. I like some of his quips and stuff as Donatello in that movie and stuff. It was kind of a little, yeah, it wasn't like, okay, it was corny, but hey, that's Donatello in my opinion. So yeah, so I loved his voice in those two movies. And then he kind of sat out inside Secret of the Ooze, and then he came back and revised his role in the third movie. Kind of weird, but whatever. And then finally, my what was it, fourth favorite voice actor for Donatello is Rob Paulsen from the 2012 series, of course. Rob Paulsen, as you know, he's an all-time legendary voice actor and stuff. Dude voiced Raphael back inside the 1987 series, and then he you know, came back to the 2012 series to voice Donatello. Personally, myself, I think he's better at voicing Raph than he is Donatello, but still, his voice as Donatello is also pretty decent in my opinion. But yeah, but these are my placements for the best Donatello voice actors and stuff. Tell me who you guys think is your favorite Donatello voice actor. Alright, so before I start getting into feats and stuff, I wanted to talk about some of Donatello's most badass moments inside the series. So starting off from the jump, I have basically he saved the entire multiverse and every single version of the Ninja Turtle. So every version of the Ninja Turtle that we see and know of, whether it be in the comics, the cartoons, whatever, the movies, basically you have 1987 Donatello to thank for that. He saved them all and stuff. Basically they were getting erased from existence, and your boy 1987 Donatello ended up throwing his little exploding shurikens at the little Technodrome and stuff that was causing the whole thing, and basically saved every version of the Ninja Turtle in the multiverse. Okay, so that's a moment I wanted to call attention to. Another moment is he created Retro Mutagen to cure mutants and stuff. He's done this in several versions. They should definitely do this inside IDW, but that's just my suggestion. But he's done this inside Secret of the Ooze. When he cured Toka and Razar, he did this in Splinter No More. In the 1987 Ninja Turtle series, the episode Splinter No More, where basically Donatello ended up healing, or not healing, my bad. He ended up curing Master Splinter of his little mutagen and stuff. He cured him, turned him into a human, but it was only temporary though. But yeah, he did that. The Lonely Mutation of Baxter Stockman, the 2012 series episode and stuff, where he ended up saving April's dad. He was mutated into a mutant bat. So yeah, Donatello definitely, I already told you, or if I haven't told you, he's definitely good when it comes to chemistry and a bunch of other things. Alright, so what else? Basically, he created a Megazord inside the Power Rangers and Ninja Turtle crossover, along with Billy and stuff, the Blue Ranger from the Mighty Morphin series. What else? He basically beat a psychic. He beat Dr. Victor Falco, who basically has the ability to read minds and stuff and can pretty much predict your movements. So yeah, Donatello beat him in a straight up fight and stuff. But yeah, I'll get into more about that later. He created a cure for a bunch of innocent people that were experimented on by the Foot Clan and their scientists and stuff inside Return to the Underground, the 2003 series episode. What else? He killed the original Baxter Stockman inside the Mirage comics. So basically, Donatello was kind of keeping Baxter Stockman alive for about 20 or so years after the Turtles had thought that he was, you know, dead, or like 18, 20. It was low, yeah, it was around for a couple of decades. Donatello's kept Baxter Stockman alive after he put his brain inside a cyborg body and stuff. Donatello thought that there might be some good in him and all that, but instead he realized that Stockman was irredeemable And after his latest attempt to try and kill April, Donatello tried to reason with him, but realized it was all pointless, and in the end, he just had to put him down. Like, that to me was probably one of Donatello's most badass moments. I mean, it is kind of shady that he had to do this behind his brother's back, but still. Another kill to Donatello's name is that he killed the original version of Shredder. Yep, that's right. Donatello, after his brothers had jumped the Shredder and stuff and pretty much fought his foot ninja armies, or technically he did the jumping, but whatever. Basically, Donatello was the one to deal the final blow to Shredder. If anybody remembers, or if you read the first issue, yeah, Donatello did that. Basically, of course, he had his brother's help and all that, so it wasn't like that was a solo effort, but still, Donatello saved everybody. He threw his bow staff at Shredder, knocked him off the rooftop when he tried to blow up everybody, and then ended up taking himself out because of the bomb he ignited. So yeah, pretty much, yeah, Mirage Donatello on a roll. Alright, so next up, another kill, not to Mirage Donatello though, but to Donatello from the 2003 series, is he killed an alternate version of Utrom Shredder and basically avenged his brothers inside the 2003 episode, Same as There Never Was. Trust me, Same as There Never Was, I'm pretty sure a lot of people definitely remember that episode. Very dark, and probably might have had some influence on The Last Ronin and stuff later on, but still, a lot of people will not forget that episode. But remember, that was a Donatello-centered episode and stuff, and that was pretty fucking good. Next up, he became a nigh omnipotent god inside the Archie comics. I believe this is called the Black Hole Trilogy and stuff. Basically, Donatello, it's been a while since I read this, I'll try to recall what I remember. Anyways, Donatello ended up grabbing this artifact called the Turnstone, which can basically give you like these godlike powers and shit like that. And temporarily, like, Donatello like literally was like a nigh omnipotent god, meaning like he was basically just all powerful. Unfortunately though, he lost the powers and it was too much for him. And then I think the Turnstone ended up getting lost, but still, Donatello, that was like one of the most powerful versions of the character. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. And then last but not least, he basically in that same well, not in that same comic, but in that same run in the Archie Comics Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures, Donatello pretty much beat his brothers, all of them, back to back in a intergalactic wrestling match. Yep, Donatello won an intergalactic wrestling match against all three of his brothers. Okay, it was the last turtle standing. So that to me was also one of my favorite comics inside the Archie comics and stuff for Ninja Turtles. So basically, and I'll talk more about this as I go into the feats and stuff, but these are pretty much Donatello's badass moments and stuff to me. Alright, so Donatello is easily one of the smartest characters in the series, who's well versed in engineering, chemistry, biology, and physics. He generally likes to make vehicles like motorcycles, large trucks, submarines, hoverboards, even a blimp. He's made teleportation devices, cell phones, like a shell cell, T-phone, flashlights that can open up portals in other dimensions, robots, turtle mechs, clones, etc. He's manufactured cures to mutagen or people who have accidentally or forcefully mutated as well. And of course, he's an excellent hacker, capable at decoding alien encryption. He's also able to create gateways into the digital world and revive Master Splinter, whose data was scattered across it. According to Raphael, Donatello has an IQ of 637, which is more than 6 times the average human intelligence. Donatello is a ninja master trained his entire life in self-defense against the street-level thugs, ninjas, assassins, and the Shredder himself. Despite the misconceptions that Donatello is the weakest and the least skilled because he focuses more on his technology more than anything else, that rumor is just complete bullshit. While it's true that Leo and Raph train more and that Mikey has more natural talent, that doesn't mean that like he just isn't skilled or they're just leagues apart, but it's actually closer than you think. Donatello has trained under a few ninja masters like Master Splinter, the Ninja Tribunal, so like his brothers, he should have mastery over most Asian-based martial arts like Aikido, Taekwondo, Tai Chi, Kung Fu, Karate, etc. He also knows American wrestling, and after training with the Shredder, he should have a better grasp of his spiritual abilities. I've gone over this before when I was talking about Leo. As a mutant, Donatello has a superhuman prowess where he's stronger, faster, and more durable than the average man. He's defeated mutants like Bebop and Rocksteady, who have tumbled buildings and train cars with their punches. He's defeated gods and immortals like Kronos, with the king of like Titans, pretty much, you know, some God of War shit. He stabbed out his eye and everything. And he also defeated General Mono, one of the 4 or 5 stone generals, who could use a dumpster as a weapon and can overpower the 13 monsters in strength. Donatello is a skilled enough fighter where he can fight based off of instincts, similar to Michelangelo's fighting style, where not even psychics like Dr. Victor Falco can predict his movements. Think of it kind of like Ultra Instincts, how it's like one of those things where basically you can like move without thinking about planning out your next attack, basically, you know. But preferably, Donatello does prefer to plan out his next moves using his scientific brain. He's beaten Tiger Claw in a spiritual hallucination where the duplicate had identical skill and strength of the original. Not only was he Shredder's second in command, but he's also the most feared assassin in all of Asia. And he also had a few wins over the Shredder himself, one of the best fighters in the universe. While assuming a renegade vigilante alter ego, in 1987 Donatello defeated his own version of Shredder in the Mirage comics and has defeated the Shredder and his soldiers overnight, along with his brothers, and would later train himself as an adult in a simulator where he's defeated replicas of the Shredder himself by himself. He killed an alternate Utrom Shredder thanks to some prep time, who was wearing an indestructible exosuit that Stockman had created. And keep in mind, pretty much this is like 20 years from in his future and whatnot, or his alternate future or whatever, where pretty much the Turtles had given up hope because they thought it was a lost cause that they can't defeat the Shredder, until Donatello came along and literally did this again overnight. And he also beat the Cyber Shredder one-on-one with the skills of Utrom Shredder, since he's an AI of the Utrom Shredder in case something were to ever happen to him. And he also has the strength to match the Tengu Shredder. He's also beaten his brothers on some occasions, like a free-for-all intergalactic wrestling match, and has defeated his own creation, Metalhead, who has taken pretty much the 3 of them out. So this isn't just an outlier. But like I said, I think they all have at least at one point beaten each other at some point. But yeah, and that would include Donatello. He's capable of using projectiles like shurikens, kunais, arrows, and firearms, but his primary choice of weapon is the bow staff. It's not the most lethal weapon among his brothers, but Donnie has used it to overcome his fighting situations. The staff is a 6-foot-long bow staff, good for long-range attacks, blocking attacks, and it just boosts his jumps. Another function is that it doubles as a naginata, and you can use it for like piercing attacks and as a spear. In the fast-forward timeline, his Ninja Tech staff can emit sound waves and can be used as a taser. In the Archie comics, Donnie can use a staff as a laser gun, which is more mechanized in that version. And his sub-weapon would be the Gravity Equalizer, which could delete gravity itself, being its original function. Now it's used as telekinesis, which can toss cars and knock down mutants. It does have a limited charge, so Donnie uses it as a club to punch people when it comes right down to it, basically. Alright, so that's pretty much my perspective on Donatello. He is my favorite Ninja Turtle among the group. My opinion tends to vary depending on which version of the characters we're talking about, but my favorite versions of Donatello are the Mirage, Image Comics, Archie Comics, 1987 series, 1990 movies, 2003 series, the 2012 series, and the IDW comics. Not all exactly in that order, but pretty much, yeah, those are the versions of Donatello I like the most. I think the Rise series introduced the worst version in my opinion. I know there are some people that definitely do like, well, there's a lot of, like, there's some people that like him, I guess, from Rise, but I just don't like his character in Rise. I think he's just annoying. In the Bayverse, I don't think he was really that bad in the Bayverse. Like, I don't even think the Turtles were really that bad, except for, like, obviously the designs and stuff, and making them, like, 7 foot tall and all that, and the creative decisions, but outside of that, character-wise, I thought the Turtles were just fine. Anyways, he is someone, though, that, truly does embrace the aspect of just being a teenage mutant ninja turtle, and that's what I like about Donatello. He's like pretty much hung up on his origins as a mutant, training his mind, his body as a ninja, and just being a teenager, you know, is imaginative and stuff, you know. So that's pretty much what I think about Donatello, pretty much. So if I could just do something or recommend what I would do going for Donatello's character forward, especially in the IDW comics, I would either have him focus on making a cure for Mutant Town and Jenica as a short-term arc. I've talked about this before. I was like, honestly, I'm ready to just move past this whole Mutant Town stuff and just, you know, or something, you know, because honestly, it's just repetitive and it's just like, it's garbage, man. So I would like have Donatello just make a cure and he just saves everybody, basically. I would have done that, I swear. And then we can have Jenica just go back to just being normal or whatever. I think she was better when she was normal and not a turtle, but that's just me. Anyways, but if that's off the table, I actually have another suggestion. That would be to have Donatello start his own company. He's done this a couple of times in other versions. He's done this in the Archie comics, where in the future he creates a company called Turtle Tech, or Turtle Co. My bad, Turtle Co. So Turtle Co. is basically a company that Donatello has started and stuff. He's like rich and stuff, etc. And in the 2003 series, in the Fast Forward universe and stuff, Donatello had also created a company alongside with April and Casey called Neotech. So yeah, I'm like, honestly, they should definitely have Donatello either create his own company and stuff. Like, they shouldn't just have him just sitting on the sidelines, monitoring stuff or working on his sci-fi novel. This is not stuff that we wanted to just read about. We want to see these characters being interesting. And I think this would definitely make his character interesting. Mainly because I think this can definitely, you know, like you can have this be like the next character arc for him and his brothers. You have Raphael complaining about not wanting to get a job. You can go work for Donatello. You can definitely have him like start this company off with Mona Lisa as well, since she's also smart, and they can pretty much compete against Stockton. I think this can definitely bond Donatello and Mona Lisa a little bit more together than just things just being some kind of like crush or whatever. But that's just my opinion, and it will definitely help out his family financially and stuff too. So those are some of my suggestions as to what to do with Donatello's character going onwards. It's not really that complicated or complex. It's really that easy, but that's just me. Anyways, tell me down below what you guys think about Donatello, and tell me who your favorite Ninja Turtle is. Generally speaking, I like all of them, but if I had to choose, it's Donatello. Alright, so this is the Keenest Fox, and I'm out. Peace.